Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is September the 16th, 2024, and today the topic is natural and unnatural desires. Happy Monday and happy anniversary to me and my hubby. Yes, y'all. It is 8 years. 8 years of marriage for us. Man, to God be the glory. Listen, look. Those of you all who have been on this journey with me, y'all know that the first few months of 2024 was rough for your girl in a variety of ways. And I told y'all, I felt like attacks on every side. And also there was attacks, I would say, with marriage and whatnot as well. But we here, man. We are here still choosing each other. And to God be the glory for my husband and our marriage, man. Yeah, man, there's a lot of things to reflect on, in these 8 years of marriage and whatnot. And I think we're almost 10 years together, if I'm not mistaken, because we got together back in 2014. So is that officially 10 years? I don't know. I got to go do some math. but yeah, 8 years together. And look, we're still the old happy says, you know what I'm saying? So I'm grateful. I am grateful. And so shout out to hubby, man. Shout out to him again. He's been my muse in a lot of ways. He's been encouragement, inspiration, and so much more. And today I called him a mountain of a man, not just because he's tall, but also just because he's, I don't know, like why that reference of mountain actually came to me this morning outside of him being tall. Like I think I was thinking that when I first wrote it. But I guess he's, strong like one, like, and also like that solid, you know what I'm saying? And not just saying solid in mass, but solid in like hard to move, hard to shake, that type of thing. And that's a blessing. That is a blessing to be with someone that's calm, and gentle with me, and um tries to understand me, different things like that, qualities I need in a man, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm grateful for him, and everything like that. And I know y'all only got a chance to like see him one good time on the channel, but just know that obviously he's behind the scenes, and you look, the wind beneath my wings, as they say. So yeah, man. Again, I can sit here and talk all day about us and stuff like that, but I won't, because the Lord got me talking about natural and unnatural desires today. I feel like there's a lot of things that inspired this conversation. One, I would say it was an interesting, really cool weekend overall. I mean, y'all know that y'all got a late juice on Saturday. We went to this birthday party and had some family fun, things of that nature. My husband was out of town, but he came back. Y'all know all of that, right? But one thing y'all don't know is that evening we took some time to do something that when we had, I think it was 21 days of prayer, or at some point we had a conversation about like reading to each other. And so we actually took some time to do that a little bit on Saturday night. And I was asking him what he wanted us to read, because like when I mentioned, reading the Bible and things of that nature, he kind of was like, well, I was kind of thinking something more like entertainment or whatever the case may be. But I kept asking him that day and he didn't say anything. So I was like, well, I'm gonna start reading Proverbs, you know what I'm saying? So we were taking turns and we got to, I think, 6, Proverbs 6, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been either Proverbs 5 or Proverbs 6. One of those, we got to that one before he got kind of tired. It was like, I actually want to go to sleep. But we were taking turns reading that on, reading the different Proverbs. So I started with 1, he did 2, I did 3, he did 4, and then I think I did 5, and I think that's where we stopped. Something like that. And it was interesting because I felt like every time that I was reading, it was saying, my son, and, saying things like to pour into him. And then times when he was reading, it was saying things like, a message from a father, or, you know what I mean? And stuff like that coming from like a male's perspective. So I found that to be interesting by itself. But then yesterday rolled around, y'all. And So y'all know I'll go to work. I work at the church. Y'all already know that, right? And I work my 2 gatherings. I almost worked 3, but it worked out where there was a lot more adults in the room in the 3rd gathering. So I went to go sit. Y'all, the word we got yesterday was right on time, and I feel like it just kept going um along with the different things I have been receiving all weekend. So those in the Christian community, y'all may know about the quote unquote debate that happened between Marcus Rogers and Preston Perry, who is Jackie Hill Perry's husband. I did get a chance to watch the whole thing. I didn't watch it when they were live or anything, but Marcus had posted the whole conversation afterwards, even though he took it down now, so y'all can't see it now, I guess. But he did show the whole thing, and I was able to watch/listen to that on Thursday. When I was working and whatnot, I was listening to that conversation. And I mean, yeah, they both probably could have handled it better, as men of God, X, Y, and Z. I know it did seem kind of heated at the end, when it seemed like they both were, I guess you would say, over talking each other, or just trying to hold each other accountable at the same time, about like different parts of the conversation. So it got kind of like a little bit back and forth ish at the end. But if you watch from the beginning, I would say that Marcus was very humble in the beginning to be like, because he allowed Mr. Perry to, preach, yeah, I guess, or really, really like get his point of view out, like how he felt about Marcus and his ministry, how he felt about, it being a danger to, the faith. And he just said all he had time to say, like about 20 minutes to say like whatever he felt like saying about Mr. Marcus, right? And then ultimately when they got into different parts of the conversation, then that's when it kind of went left a little bit, because then, it seemed like certain questions wasn't getting answered, and then, certain, responses was getting like overlooked, and it just was like a little bit back and forth, I guess, that men do. But anywho, and yes, it's understandable that Mr. Perry came into the situation, wanted to defend his wife, X, Y, and Z. I would say from the first like moment he was talking, it seemed like he was very like on guard, right? He was a little very guarded, and very like came into the conversation like, I don't want to do this, but that type of vibe. And it's like, okay, you already coming in a little hot, and you're a danger to the ministry. I'm like, hold on, like now you done said a lot of stuff about the minute. But anyway, that don't really have much to do with this conversation. It has a little bit to do with this conversation though, because at some point they were talking about justification, and then there was some another point where they were kind of disagreeing about deliverance and things of that nature, because Mr. Marcus was saying that his Jackie needed to be delivered, and it just was going back and forth. There was a lot of stuff going on, and obviously Mr. Perry took offense to that, and and all this stuff was going on. But so basically, yesterday, as I was sitting in church and getting the word, right, and the pastor was, actually Pastor Gary was speaking, and whatnot, and he was talking about spiritual order and freedom. He did touch on justification and sanctification, which I felt like, wow, like after listening to that debate that was kind of about that, then you know what I'm saying, to get that word on Sunday, I was like, okay. Then some of the things that we were learning or reading to each other, me and my husband was reading to each other on Saturday about wisdom. He kind of touched on some of that stuff too yesterday in the message. So I was like, golly, okay, Lord, I could definitely appreciate. And again, this is just another confirmation to me that I'm at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, because I felt the same way about when I was at God House Orlando in Florida, that I will get over, I will receive something outside, and then I would come to church and receive something else. You know what I mean? And everything, it seems like it coincides and fits, with my life and stuff like that. But anyway, so how does this lead to natural and non-natural desires? Well, again, one of the points that Pastor Marcus was making in the conversation was that basically the desire that Miss Perry once had, or maybe even still have, in regards to being attracted to women, X, Y, and Z, was an unnatural desire that she can get delivered from. Now, Miss Perry was taking the other, I guess, stance on that and was saying that, like, we're justified by faith and it's not, you know what I mean? And granted, now, look, it's a work in progress, man. Ain't nobody, very few have been like automatically delivered. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure it's, again, a daily sacrifice, which is what Pastor Gary was touching on yesterday and whatnot as well. There's a lot of notes and stuff that I kind of took yesterday, as you guys may see, the ones that are watching me live. But I did write down the ones from my notes from yesterday at church that stood out to me to go with this conversation. And so let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into it. So, and another thing, I've been kind of, I don't know if I would say struggling with this, but maybe that'd be a good way to say it. So I've been kind of struggling with this as well, understanding like what's a natural desire and what's an unnatural desire, right? I have a desire for my husband, but then I wonder, like, is it too much? You know what I'm saying? Am I doing too much? Am I wanting too much? Things of that nature. And so, again, this is something I've been trying to work through with therapy. I don't know how much but anyway, I've been trying to work through it, right? And stuff like that. And again, I'm supposed to talk to the therapist tomorrow. So we're gonna see, how it goes and flows. So I was thinking more so about that this morning when I was thinking about natural and unnatural desires. Like, how do you know what is a natural desire and what's an unnatural desire? Now, again, there's a lot in the Word of God about, again, rules, regulations. I know that's probably what people majority see the Bible as, rules and regulations, right? And there's a lot of things that, again, God calling out and saying, like, if you're doing these things, you're not going to inherit the kingdom of heaven. And I thought, I ain't gonna lie, like when I first started to write down the notes, I thought that God was going to like have me write down stuff like that and share that type of stuff with y'all. Even though I know most of y'all know these things already, because y'all can list what does God call an abomination. Everybody be like, oh, it's this, that. You know what I mean? Like, so y'all know that stuff already. Matter of fact, I feel like the pastor kind of touched on that yesterday, and I don't think I meant to write it down, but I don't think I did. Well, I might go touch on it in a minute, but let's go ahead and let me share the things that I did write down. All right, so here we go. Desire, friends. A strong feeling of wanting to have something or wishing for something to happen. So that's what desire means. Now, the notes from yesterday that stood out to me in reference to desire, friends, is as follows. Okay, one, feelings aren't always facts. I know we probably don't like that. That might be Pope this morning, y'all. Like, wait a minute. What you mean? How I feel matters. We gonna talk about that in a second. But can you understand that feelings are not always facts? I mean, look, I was feeling like I was walking on eggshells about to get fired a few months ago. Was my feelings facts? No, they were not. You know what I'm saying? So, we all have been there. I'm not sitting here trying to, make you feel no way or whatever the case may be. But if you are feeling some way, then, that's probably the Lord pricking you and letting you know that your feelings may not be facts. So let's not act like they are. Speaking of that, the verse that stood out to me to write down after I wrote down that quote was 1 Corinthians 10:23. It says, all things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful, but not all things build up. So again, we can do what we want to do, right? We got free will. That's the way God made us, right? We got free will. We do whatever we want to do. We can feel how we want to feel. I mean, obviously, God has made us to have emotions and all these different things. So yeah, but understand that, again, all of your feelings aren't facts. Understand that everything you think about ain't worth doing, right? And understand that everything you think about doing and whatnot ain't gonna build you up. So you might not need to do or operate in your feelings, as people say. So, again, y'all can let that marinate and see how you feel about that. But that's what I've been receiving, and that's what I received to share this morning. Matter of fact, here's another one. So we talked about, again, people, for those that are like, well, I feel how I feel it, and that's how I feel it. And okay, feel the emotions. That's fine. Feel how you feel. But then what we need to do is subject those feelings to the word of God. See, I think that's the part we be mixing out on. We feel what we feel, and then we want to do what we feel, and then live like we feel, and all that type of stuff. No, you can do and feel how you feel, right? You might be angry, you might be upset, you might be confused, you might be sad, you might be, confused, whatever it is. Like, you can feel those things, but then take those feelings and subject them to the word of God. Again, the pastor went deeper about that yesterday, but I mean, and y'all can go look up the Mountain West Church channel on YouTube, and y'all can watch the whole message for yourself. But yeah, I mean, that's what we need to be doing, friends. Taking those emotions and then submitting them to the Lord. Again, what would that look like for me? So, for example, again, a few months ago when I was walking on eggshells, feeling like I was about to be fired and having anxiety, right? I know at some point what I did was, like, when I really, really was feeling it, I was like, you know what? Well, Lord, if that's your will, then your will be done. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I trust you. And if you're saying my time is up here, then fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? And so again, we need to do that with everything. Everything in our life, and every feeling, emotion, and things of that nature. Let me go ahead and give you guys more verses. Or is that the only verse? Wait. I think that was like the only verse that I felt led to write down, but I got some quotes. Yes, I have some more quotes for y'all from yesterday. So, another quote that stood out to me to share from yesterday's message at the church is this quote that says, "You don't have to believe everything you think." Can we put that on the table, friend? Again, we already established that your feelings ain't always facts, and so we don't have to believe everything we think. Listen, I mean, I can get in details, and maybe one of these days I will, in regards to like the different temptations or the different, the ways I was attacked in my marriage, and the ways I was attacked as a mother, and the way, you know what I mean? And I could believe the lies of the enemy, but I don't have to. I don't have to, and you don't have to. So, yeah, let me go ahead and give y'all more. Here's another quote, friends. You don't have to accept everything you feel. I mean, again, we already talked about that first verse tells us that, again, even though we can do everything we want to do, all things are lawful, everything isn't helpful and everything doesn't build up. So again, why should I go around and believe that I'm about to get fired, right? And stuff like that. How's that going to build anybody up? How is that going to be helpful to me to do the work that God has me doing? So again, I don't have to believe the lie. Stop believing the lies. I think a lot of us, we go through life and believe the lies, and then we become the lies, and then we share the lie. You know what I mean? It just keep going and going, and then ultimately you dead. Because that's what that leads to. I said something about that yesterday. Let me see real quick. If not, again, maybe this stuff I can share in the after show. But I mean, we know that the wages of sin is death, right? Y'all already know that. So again, like, let me keep sharing what I'm supposed to share. So I made a little list here of what are natural desires versus unnatural desires. Because again, I know y'all can go deeper. There's plenty of verses in the go deeper sections for you to peruse and that marinate on your heart, souls, and minds about this this topic. And again, I know y'all can look up, what Jesus said would not get you in the kingdom, if you the lifestyles and all the different things, right? Abominations and all that stuff. Y'all can look that stuff up on your own. But let me give you guys just like a little quick list to think about natural and unnatural desires, okay? So natural desires are as follows, okay? Hunger and thirst, those are natural desires, okay? Rest and sleep, natural desires. Relationships and companionships, natural desire. And then sexual desire is, yes, a natural desire, okay? So, that gave my little heart, a a little bit of grace and mercy for myself and stuff like that. Because I'm like, I have been struggling with that, to be honest, to be like, is it too much? Is it wrong? And things like that. So that's hopefully can give you at least a little glimpse at natural desires. I'm sure there's more that you guys can think about and whatnot as well. But these things are natural desires. Now, when it gets to be unnatural, here's a little list, okay? Sexual immorality is an unnatural desire. So sexual desire itself is natural. And within marriage is the word commendable came into my mind. You know what I mean? It's so funny. I saw this quote that said that sex is not for men and women, it's for married. It's for husband and wives. Y'all might not like that, but that's biblical. It's not for men and women, it's for husbands and wives. Okay. So anything outside of that, and I know that's probably gonna make some people feel some way, but anything outside of that is what's going to call sexual immorality. And look, search with some of us, so let's not, again, not point fingers and act like we perfect. And I'm here to tell y'all, I know I'm not perfect, and I was not perfect with this or anything of that nature. Okay. All I'm saying is let us understand the difference between the natural desire of sexual desire itself. Desiring to have sex is not a quote unquote sin, but doing that outside of marriage, which we know biblical marriage is between a man and a woman and all this type of stuff, doing that, having sex outside of marriage is the unnatural desire. So yeah, sexual immorality, y'all can go deeper about that. Greed is another unnatural desire. Covetousness is another unnatural desire. Gluttony and excess, another other unnatural desire. So y'all may be wondering, I'm like, okay, Miracle, you done gave a list of stuff, you done called this or that out, da, 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 da. So let's talk about how to overcome. So these are just 3 practical things that you can do to overcome, and hopefully these encourage you and inspire you. So 1, you need to renew your mind, friend. We need to take the mind of Christ. Again, lay down our ideas, and things like that, and take on the mind of Christ. Lord, what's your will in this area? Again, I can probably go deeper with things I learned yesterday and whatnot in the notes and stuff. But let me keep going. Self-control and discipline. So again, it's a daily thing, right? It's a daily sacrifice, what we need to do to the Lord. And so, yeah, self-control and discipline. And then last but not least, prayer and reliance on God. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, again, the Bible is very clear that we should not be leaning on our own understanding. Again, there's plenty of verses in the Go Deeper section that you can peruse, let marinate on your heart, souls, and minds about all these things. But yeah, I hope that you guys have a good understanding now about natural and unnatural desires, and that you are willing to go deeper about these things, because that is the juice. Now, the Bible verse of today is Luke 16:10. It says, "He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And he that is unjust in the least is unjust." I can't tell what I wrote here, but is unjust also, I think it is, in much. So, friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. And there you go, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, anybody listening to the sound of my voice. Hope that you guys are encouraged and inspired. Thank you so much for listening, watching, subscribing, and sharing all those wonderful things. We got to do class with NJ. And then tonight we'll be at the church doing the Monday night gathering. So that's what my day is getting ready to look like, if the Lord's will. I'm trying to see, is there anything else to share with you guys? Yeah, like I said, there's quite a few things. I know that he talked about, the 3 main parts of our soul being our mind, our will, and our emotions, and how they don't naturally line up with God's will, so that we got to start thinking about what we think about and things of that nature. Another thing that was stood out to me, he was reading Romans 8:5-8, and what stood out to me was sinful nature leads to death, but the spirit leads to life. And so I think that's the other thing that was standing out that I was talking about earlier. That I was like, he said something about that. And yeah, friends, I mean, ultimately, we got to know what the truth is in order to recognize counterfeit. Um, as a man thinks, so in his heart, so is he. It's just so many different things that was standing out to me. But I did share with you guys majority of the things that I felt led to. I guess I'll leave you guys with this. Don't let your body be your CEO. All right, y'all. Well, y'all have a wonderful Monday. And I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye.